Good girl. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Hands-On channel. I actually wasn't planning on making a video today. I made one yesterday, and within a couple of hours of putting it up, or within an hour I would guess, they flagged it as medical misinformation, so they removed my video. I thought they gave me a strike, but they actually just gave me a warning, and they let me take this, let me take this little 7-question test to make sure that I was programmed into their medical misinformation community guidelines. So I had to sit there and take this like 7-question multiple choice test that was idiotic. It was so dumb, but that's how they do it. It's, you know, it's the reprogramming, it's basically how they're going to try to recondition us and make us, force us all to learn the new guidelines and systems of, you know, this is, oh my gosh, she just burped big time. This is just YouTube, but this is an example of how they're going to do this on a broader scale when it comes down to it. Eventually, I think all of social media is going to be like this, to where if you say something they don't like, or they disagree with, or that disagrees with the mainstream narrative in any way, shape, or form, no matter whether or not you're a mechanic and you present yourself, as I do, as a concerned citizen, patriotic mechanic that loves liberty and loves the founding of this country, the founding principles of this country, then they're going to, you know, strike you down or give you a warning and make you take their little BS test or whatever. So anyway, I wanted to cover that right quick in the beginning, because I had several people that were in the middle of watching the video and they got it, you know, they got kicked off the video and it said that it was no longer available, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's idiotic and BS. You know, it's hard sometimes. I was telling my wife, I had 2 or 3 days in a row where I was just blank. I couldn't come up with things that I could make a video about. It's not that I can't come up with things. It's that I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get it past the censors. And I know a lot of people always say, anytime I complain about YouTube censorship, people come out and they're like, well, go to Rumble, go to Twitter, go to this, that, you know, do whatever, you know. And the problem is, at least with Rumble, I had very little success. I mean, I was getting like 20 or 30 views on a video over there. So, I mean, to me, that's not worth it to put the videos up. And I know, you know, I didn't instantly get lots of views on YouTube when I first started my channel, but, you know, so I know some of that takes time. Hey, Chloe, if you're going to be up here, you got to lay down. All right, get down then. So anyway, on to other things, other topics that I want to discuss here today. I'm not going to Rumble, by the way. I've already been there. I do have a channel over there, but it's just sitting idle because, again, no one watches it, and I'm not going to waste my time putting stuff up like that just to get around YouTube censorship. Maybe one day when Rumble is a better platform and it's you know, easier for people like me to use and to get traction over there, maybe then I'll do it. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you about something else. Hopefully by now you guys have seen at least clips of this disastrous interview that Kamala Harris did last night with Bret Baier. It was just incredible.
Is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade,
But
people
you're the
have
lever of
become.
power.
But listen, over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with.
I have never seen someone that can do so many mental gymnastics to avoid answering the most basic of questions.
She can't answer the question because she lied about it for all these years. Here she is asked, you say all these things about Trump, but half the country still supports him. Clip 9.
Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States, why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
It's not supposed to be. It is not supposed to be a
So
cakewalk
are they misguided, the 50%?
Listen,
are they stupid? What is
God,
it?
I would never say that about the American people. And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
Like, he started out, he was like, hey, you know, how many people would you say you and Biden basically let loose in the country? You know, he worded it in a more professional sort of way than that, but that was the gist of the question. And you could see she was dumbstruck right off the bat. She didn't know what to say. And, you know, not to be conspiratorial, but I've noticed she's wearing those same earrings that she wore during the debate with Trump, and people inferred and indicated that there was another pair of earrings that were made for communication purposes that look a lot like those earrings. So I just happened to notice that she was wearing those same earrings. So there may have been someone in her ear telling her how to answer these questions. But yeah, it was a train wreck, dumpster fire, nightmare, airplane falling out of the sky, off the cliff, disaster.
Jocelyn Nungary, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley, they are young women who were brutally assaulted and killed by some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration, well before a negotiated bipartisan bill. Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday, campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley probably would not have been killed. So if it wouldn't have happened, this is well before any negotiation. This is well before Donald Trump got involved in the politics. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country. So what I'm saying to you, do you owe
Brett,
those families an apology?
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases. There's no question about that. There is no question about that. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced for a loss that should not have occurred. So that is true. It is also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working around the clock trying to hold it all together.
Madam Vice President.
To ensure that no future harm would occur. And this election in 20 days will determine whether we have a president of the United States who actually cares more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage in an election, because there was a solution, Brett.
Madam Vice President, it was a policy decision in the early part of your administration. I will let one of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungary's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology is what I'm saying.
I will tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I am so sorry for her loss, sincerely. But let's talk about what is happening right now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions. Let's talk about that as well.
But do you want to
Brett,
answer
in
her?
all fairness, I told you, I feel
Notice how she's not
awful
talking about
for what
solutions.
she and her family have experienced.
Now she's going to talk
During
about
that
Trump.
time, you said repeatedly that the border was secure. When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration, even before. Let's all be honest about that. I have no pride in saying that this is a perfect immigration system. I've been clear, I think we all are, that it needs to be fixed. We need more. I was just down at the border talking with border agents, and they will tell you, and I'm sure you probably, I know you investigate and you are a serious journalist, they will tell you, we need more judges. We need to process those cases faster. We need the support for those cases that should be prosecuted. They need more resources, and Congress ultimately is the only place that that's going to get fixed, Brett.
Well,
that's how this system works.
That's the premise of this question.
But
there were
that's how the
90
system
plus
works.
executive orders that were rescinded in the first days. Many of those were Trump border policies. I'm not going to stay here because there's other things to talk about, but you frequently talk to the Border Patrol Union for support of that bipartisan bill, and they did. They supported it. But they also just endorsed Donald Trump and said, you've been, quote, a failure with border security. Why do you think they said that?
I think they're frustrated, and I get it. They want support.
I don't know who her handlers are or why they agreed to that because, you know, obviously they have the winning strategy to follow that Biden laid out in the 2020 election. You know, you hide in your basement and you don't talk to the media. You spin everything. And that's what she did in that part of the interview. All of the hard questions that were direct questions, they weren't really hard questions. That's the thing I keep coming back to is these were really simple, elementary, easy questions. And she punted, she diverted, she avoided, she circled back, she blamed Trump, she did every single thing that she could. In fact, I don't think she actually answered one single question in a normal, traditional fashion without doing a big word salad, you know. She said this at one point, she was answering something and she was like, well, the President of the United States of America,
talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the President of the United States in the United States of America should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it.
And of course, it's this administration that has locked up their political opposition.
she just fills every void with nonsense. The lady is dumb, man. I've been saying it for a while, but I think maybe some people might have got pissed off when I said that. It's not because she's a lady that she's dumb. It's because she's a freaking Marxist that she's dumb. She believes all this shit. And while she's running, she'll pretend that she's pro-fracking and pro-Second Amendment. Oh, me and Tim Walz own guns. Oh, yeah, we go to the range all the time. And did you see the atrocious video clip where Tim Walz was trying to act like he knows how to hunt and he couldn't even figure out how to load his own fucking shotgun? What does that tell you? These people are as fake as a $10 Rolex you're going to buy out on the streets of New York City or whatever.
You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room, and he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And
because his mental faculties declined.
But you talked about it.
And Donald Trump
After George Clooney said within a few minutes of talking to President Biden at a fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is on the ballot.
I understand. You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump, which is why the people who know him best, including leaders of our national security
can't answer the question.
Community, have all spoken out, even people who worked for him in the Oval Office.
They're clearly fakes. It's not even, it's obviously surface level, but when you look at, there is no depth to any of these people. She didn't answer a single question, so that was disastrous. That was a nightmare. Tim Walz is the same way. He's a nightmare. I don't know why they picked her, they picked him, except for the fact that they wanted someone that was dumber than her, if possible. And I guess that's as close as they're going to get is Tim Walz.
Misguided, the 50%?
Listen,
Are they stupid?
What
is
God,
it?
I would never say that about the American people. What else do we know about this population, 18 through 24? They are stupid. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced for a loss that should not have occurred. So that is true. It is also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working around the clock trying to hold it all together.
Madam Vice President.
To ensure that no future harm would occur. And this election in 20 days will determine whether we have a president of the United States who actually cares more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage in an election, because there was a solution, Brett.
Madam Vice President, it was a policy decision in the early part of your administration.
I would imagine that as a result of this, for one thing, she's not going to lose any of her Marxist followers because they don't watch Fox News. They don't listen to anything on the opposite side ever. They never listen to the other side of the argument. They're one-sided, one-minded, single-track-minded people. So she didn't lose anyone from her side, from the Marxist group, or the commies, or the progressives, or whatever you want to call the modern-day Democrats. She didn't lose anyone from that because most of them are voting on one plain and simple concept. TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome. They all have it. They're infected to the maximum levels. I mean, they're basically on life support with this stuff. And I actually read an article a few days ago that I happen to agree with. This person, and I don't know if this guy was a psychologist or what his study was or whatever, but the headline grabbed my attention, and it was something along the lines of, if Trump wins, or when Trump wins the 2024 election, we're going to be facing the largest mental crisis we've ever experienced in the United States because, nearly half the people, if you believe the polls, nearly half the people are going to be screaming at the sky. They're going to be believing that Trump is Hitler and he's here to take over and he's never going to let go of power and all of the other lies that they've been told by the Mockingbird mainstream media. That's what's going to happen. And they're going to melt down and freak out. So if you've got loved ones and stuff that are, heavy TDS people, just be prepared. You're probably not going to be able to talk to them for like 6 months and maybe never, because they may need a straitjacket. They may need to be put away somewhere because these people are mentally ill. So that's where we are. We've got a person named Trump that's trying to, at least on the surface, it looks like he's trying to reverse course. That's his plan. All of his stuff that he says on his website, it looks good. It looks like it will help reverse the downward spiral we're in. Am I saying that Trump's our savior? Hell no. Hell no. I don't put my faith in any man like that. So we need Jesus back in America. That's what we need. We need Christianity and Christian morals and values and nuclear families and stuff like that are very important. Some of the stuff that I emphasized in my last video that was removed. So you tell me. They said medical misinformation, but I was talking about a great wide range of things. I think what they got me on was I started talking about Africa and some of those third world countries where Bill Gates has gone down there and given, I got to be careful about this, or this one will get banned as well. He's given the thing that shall not be named. He's given those things, and let's just say there have been some really interesting negative consequences or side effects that cause fertility rates to plummet. Not allowed to talk about that, apparently. Not allowed to talk about that. Getting a little too close to the truth of the matter. You can't do that here on YouTube, and I got to constantly remind myself. I actually thought they backed off on some of that stuff, and they did to a degree, but apparently not that far. I'm not allowed to criticize, Lord Bill Gates. So I just find all of this time in our history very interesting and very dangerous because we're on the verge of something really big. Again, if that guy's true and they have, half the people have a mental breakdown, let's say it's not all of them, because it probably won't be. Let's say it's a percentage of them, like 50%. So that would still mean about 25% of the country are going to be losing their shit if Trump wins and when Trump wins. I mean, I can't see anything right now in a legitimate election that would cause Trump not to win, that would cause Kamala Harris to win. I just can't see it. She's a train wreck. She's a nightmare. Nobody voted for her. Nobody wants her. The only reason these people are voting for her at all is, again, their TDS syndrome, their Trump derangement syndrome. So anyway, I came over here to get some work done, but I thought I'd better give you guys an update on what happened to the last video. I'm going to go home this evening after I'm done. If I have time, I'm going to try to edit out the parts that YouTube got me on, and then I'll try to re-upload it, although I may get a strike for that. So if you don't hear from me for a week or so after this, it's because YouTube is punishing me. You know, they're putting me in a naughty boy timeout in a dunce hat. So it just, this shit is so idiotic, you can't make it up. I mean, they could have simply put a disclaimer down below my video that says, you know, the V word that I shall not name, you know, those things are whatever. You know, they could have put something down there like they do, that, oh, we think this is medical misinformation. Instead, they took my video down. I appealed and they disagreed very quickly. I thought they'd make me wait the full 48 hours. That's what they do oftentimes, is they'll make you wait the full 48 hours. That way you're not getting monetization and stuff like that on your video, and then they'll just take it down. Or they might let you put it back up, but it'll never have the same, it'll never be as popular as it was when you first uploaded it, right? So they know this, and they have other tools to reduce your access to eyeballs. They'll keep you in the shadows, keep you shadow banned like they've had me. So I've got my windsock on here. I'm hoping that this video turns out because it's really windy, but I got to get out here, get on the tractor. I'm going to grab the chainsaw and go around and cut some limbs back and stuff like that, and just get ready for whatever may be coming, because it could very well turn into a civil war. No matter who wins, it could turn into a civil war. One side, the left, has refused to debate or talk about the issues with the other side. So that leaves us with nothing left to do. I mean, you know, I can't remember who it was. Frederick Douglass, maybe, that said this. It's either the ballot box or the cartridge box. I'm not saying that. Frederick Douglass said that. These are things you may want to think about as we're facing this turmoil in our nation. And you may want to stock up on some extra stuff, you know, food, water, things like that, you know, firepower, gas for your generator. Oh, you don't have a generator? You better get your ass one, because it's very likely that no matter who wins, these evil bastards that run the WEF, they might launch their cyber polygon plan and take our power down, take our entire grid down, the entire internet, the grid, everything that's tied to it. What would you do? Do you have a Jenny? Do you have fuel? These are things that you probably need to be thinking about. I mean, it's emergency level right now. So I'm not telling you to go into debt or anything, but you better figure out a way to get yourself some way to produce power just in case. So anyway, guys, I'm going to get out here and get to work, and then I'm going to get back to my place and do some more editing tonight on the video that I've already edited, but maybe I'll be able to satisfy the YouTube censors. Probably not. They'll find something else probably and give me a strike, but I'm going to try it anyway because, you know, I have a rebellious nature about me. When you push me in the chest, I tend to lean into it. I don't know if you guys are like that, but you know, I don't like being told what to do. I'm an independent, free thinker, and I believe in self-governance. Apparently that's a thing that at least half the country has forgotten about. So anyway, until next time, I stand for liberty to the bitter end. I hope you do too.